the Money is made possible by financial support from Old National Bank and Chicagoans like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to In the Money. I am your host, Kimberly, a CPA and financial executive who today is financially secure, but was not always. I consider myself a financial expert, and I love every minute of it. But I have to admit, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, I'm pretty clueless. I just don't understand how it all works, and that makes me pretty nervous. I don't invest in anything that I don't understand. It seems like everyone else is jumping on the bandwagon and making big bucks or losing their shirt. But I'm just sitting here feeling left behind and anxious about the whole thing. I know that some people say the cryptocurrencies are the future of money and they're more secure than traditional banking systems. But I can't help feeling like it's all too good to be true. I mean, how can a currency that doesn't even physically exist be worth so much money? And what happens if the market crashes and I lose all my investment? I know I need to educate myself more on the topic if I want to make an informed decision. But the whole thing just seems so overwhelming. There's so much jargon involved that it's hard to even know where to start. I guess what I really need is someone to help me navigate this world of crypto and explain it to me in simpler terms. Someone who can help me understand the risks and rewards and give me the confidence to make smart decisions. Today we'll be talking about just that, crypto as well as risk. Come on in and join me in the living room. Today in the living room, we have a guest who is a crypto marketer who consults with crypto companies. He is here today to explain to us what crypto actually is and help us understand it better. Please welcome Breevy to the show. Hi, Breevy.
Hi.
So what makes you a crypto marketer? What is that?
So crypto marketer specifically is someone who focuses on marketing in the Web3 infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So I create a lot of content for the company that I work for, and I also create a lot of derivative content, as well as I also host a podcast as well.
So a couple of definitions here for our audience. Yeah. What is the did you say W3?
Web3.
Web3. What is that?
Okay, so let's
layman's terms now, baby steps.
Let's hop straight into it, because if we're talking Web3, then we're talking crypto.
Okay.
You can pretty much use that term almost synonymously with crypto.
Okay.
If Web3 is crypto, Web2 would be just internet.
Okay. So Web3 is crypto, and what is crypto?
So crypto is, whenever we talk about crypto, we have to talk about like two separate terms.
Okay.
There's cryptocurrency, and then there's blockchain.
Okay.
Blockchain specifically is what I like to just call just a ledger of transactions, sending debits and credits. It's the infrastructure we're able to send payments.
So if I looked at it, I'm an accountant by training. So if I pulled out my accounting books and I have my debits and credits, it's just recording these historical transactions. That's what blockchain does?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's actually all it does. And then the cryptocurrency itself is just the currency you're sending along that blockchain.
We say, is that US dollars? Or when you say currency, what is being sent?
So it's a digital tokenized asset.
Okay.
So I wouldn't necessarily call it a dollar per se.
It's digital money?
Yeah.
Does that digital money convert into, let's say, US dollars at some point?
Yes, exactly. So you can actually take your cryptocurrency and you can swap them into what is called a stable coin. And a stable coin is just simply a coin that is backed by the dollar.
Okay.
So if they have 1 million of these coins, that means they have $1 million backing those coins, and you can just swap.
So a lot of times when you think about currencies, you have US dollars, you have Japanese yen, you might have euros, and you have this exchange rate to convert between US dollars and these different currencies. Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you, the Web3 cryptocurrencies work the same way. It's just like you have this conversion of these different digital payments. Am I saying that correctly?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that was actually perfect.
Okay. I'm getting it. Hi. Okay. Yeah. And so why would people want to use crypto instead of just that, hard cash?
So when we talk about hard cash, there's a few different reasons why you would want to use cryptocurrency over it. For one thing, what we're currently doing right now is we use centralized figures in order to send payments. I.e., if I want to send you $5, I use a middleman, let's say like Cash App or something like that, in order to send that $5 to you. And all the while, I'm soaking up fees every single time I send you a transaction. And those fees can, they can kind of add up over time. What cryptocurrency actually allows is for a way for us to send payments to each other, person to person, without actually having a middleman in between. So what that does is that lowers the fee structure.
Okay.
And it actually makes it quicker too.
But I'm nervous because it's digital. It's just kind of out there. I heard this story of a guy forgot his password and he had millions and millions of dollars that he couldn't even access.
Yeah.
So how do I protect myself? Or the bank, I can come in with my ID, they can reset my password. How can I protect my money in this crypto universe?
That's an excellent question. I love that we went straight to security because it's so important. So in cryptocurrency, there's this thing called a wallet. And you can think of the wallet the exact same way that you would think of your bank account. It's just a way for you to store your funds, but in a decentralized manner. There's no centralized figure like a Chase Bank that's kind of overseeing your funds for you. Now, when you're issued out this wallet, you're given what's called a secret phrase. It's usually like 12 to 24 just randomized words. It'll be like bird, cat, dog, something like that. And what you're supposed to do is you're just supposed to keep track of that password because yes, unfortunately, if you do lose that password, when you have that custody, when you're taking care of your funds, you want to make sure that you keep that password safe. You can't lose that. You can't lose that password whatsoever. So a lot of people just recommend you write it down. You have a safe somewhere in your home. You can put it in a safe. Or if you would also, like a little bit of contingency as well, you can put it in a bank box as well. That's a lot of people do.
Now, do I need to have big money to have, to be able to really get the full use of crypto?
No. That's the beauty of crypto. I could send someone $1 if I wanted to, and that's the other beauty of crypto too. When the stock market, prior to Robinhood and everything like that, you had to buy these shares. Like if Tesla was $1,000 per share, you had to buy $1,000 per share. And with cryptocurrency, the thing that I love about it is it kind of makes it so that really anyone can participate. There's no specific maximum or minimum in that way. If I have $5 and I just want to buy $5 worth of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is worth $20,000, then I'll just have a $5 stake worth of that $20,000.
Now, what is Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency and actually started this whole thing. So what you can think of right now and what people traditionally are using it as right now is just a store of value.
Okay.
So it was actually started right after the 2008 economic crisis for that specific reason. And then things have just kind of grown since then.
And there are other ones besides Bitcoin?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think there's over 10,000 of them, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
so how do you know which one to pick?
You got to do a lot of research.
Okay.
You got to do a lot.
So just like if I was investing in the stock market, I need to do my research about which Bitcoin that I want to put my money into.
I think that's the perfect way to put it because, I typically tell people who are in like traditional investing, think of this the exact same way that you would think of a traditional investment. You want to go in, you want to research, you want to scrutinize, you want to see what kind of revenue they're bringing in, what their business model is. You want what the team is doing, who they are, why they're doing it, how long they plan on doing it, what's the roadmap for everything. You want to go really deep into these investments so that you can make sure that one, it's the right investment for you, and then two, that you think it's going to be a success.
So I'm going to take a step back because I'm a little lost.
Okay.
Because we're talking about investing, but we're also saying traditional banking. So I would like you to help understand better how I can lose money with Bitcoin versus if I just put it in the bank and interest rates going up and down, but I'm not going to lose money. So help me understand that dynamic.
Got you. So this whole notion of losing money versus not losing money. Whenever your money is sitting in the bank, traditionally it is we all know that it is in fact losing money due to inflation. But when you put your money into say a finite asset like Bitcoin, what you're doing is you're putting your money into a store of value, something that's finite where the supply can increase. There's only going to be a certain amount of Bitcoin. So as long as the demand continues to rise for Bitcoin, which traditionally we have kind of been seeing over time, then we can assume that this would be something that we could store our money in for value.
Okay.
Whereas with the things like the dollar, I think at best in your bank account you're getting hit by inflation.
Right. So inflation, just for our audience members, inflation is the supply and demand pressure on the purchase power of a dollar. So in the high inflation times we're kind of going through today, your dollar does not go as far when you have high inflation. And so traditionally, right now, with banks only paying less than 1%, just being generous, and then inflation being, let's say, 5%, your dollars are losing value over time. But with Bitcoin, that is an investment. I just want to be clear, that's an investment. It's not so that you're put into the bank and it's guaranteed to have that value, even though you have inflation and stuff, it still has that dollar value, whatever it is.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And so how can I protect myself if I want to invest in Bitcoin to not lose my shirt? One of those is research. What else could I do?
To protect yourself specifically, if you're investing in any sort of an asset, be it a stock or a cryptocurrency, you want to make sure you do your research and you want to also analyze your risk.
Okay.
Right? You want to make sure that if you're analyzing this investment and it's a long-term investment, you want to make sure that you're able to put that amount of money in for that amount of time. Okay. So that would be kind of my recommendation.
Any tips for those people who are considering crypto and how they could stick their toes in the water if they are interested?
Best way, honestly, to stick your toes in the water is by getting a Coinbase account. The main thing that I tell any of my friends when they say, hey, how can I get started? Get yourself a Coinbase account, grab some Bitcoin.
When you say Coinbase account, so are there places I can go to get a Coinbase account?
Oh, yeah. So Coinbase is actually an application right on your phone, App Store, Play Store, Google or Android, Apple or Android, whichever one you got. You can be able to download it from there. Works like any other traditional application. That's why I always recommend it to folks that are just just getting started, because it works just like any other application. You can sign in with your Google, set you up a nice password. Everything's protected, and you can just buy you some Bitcoin by hitting the buy button and typing in the number.
Perfect. Thank you so much for those tips and educating us on Bitcoin as well as how all the whole cryptocurrencies works. Later today, we're going to actually talk about investor profiles. I think it's important for people to understand that. But thanks again.
Hi, I'm Ryan G. I'm the host of Tweenish.
Okay, you're going to have to show me this whoa here.
It's a really nice, fun dance move.
It's a fun dance?
Yeah, it just goes like,
am I doing that right? We gotta bring it all around.
Tune in to my show every single week on Can TV 19. I'm personally excited. Are you?
As we heard from Breezy, crypto is a relatively new type of payment platform and money management system. But with any money platform, crypto or traditional banking, there are pluses and minuses. Based on your own financial goals and risk tolerance, some platforms are better suited for you than others. Only you can decide what is best for you, but you should consider your own investor personality type in your decision-making process. Whatever personality type you have, please be clear that I am not recommending that you should or should not invest in crypto, but rather helping you discover your risk tolerance so that you can make an informed decision. To help you discover your investor personality type, joining us today is licensed clinical social worker Tamika Hill. Welcome to the show, Tamika.
Thank you, Kimberly.
So as you can see in our first segment, we talked about cryptocurrencies. We talked about that versus traditional banking, that it is an investment. And I think some investments are more suited for certain personality types. So what are some of those investor profiles that we should be on the lookout for?
Well, one is, there's the risk taker. So risk takers probably are more prone to new things. The other person would be like an analyzer. they're not prone to new things. So they're going to withhold and like, no, I'm going to see what it does.
Okay. Now, what about the risk that's associated with any type of investment? Is there a personality type that would just be more devastating to them if something happened, that maybe they should be more into safer type of, investments or assets?
Definitely, if like you're a warrior, like the money personality of a warrior, right? Or just if you know that you're a very anxious person, those two personality types definitely shouldn't do risk-taking things because they're more to overanalyze, or if it doesn't work out the way they perceive it should, they will feel like failures.
So what about I'm a warrior and I don't want to feel like a failure? Can I offset that by doing more and more research, even though I know it's not a guarantee? If I do all the research in the world, I could still lose a little bit of money no matter what the investment. Would that help me kind of balance that out?
Well, what I actually say is write out your pros and cons, right? So if you do your research, absolutely. But then at some point you got to stop researching and make a decision, which overthinkers hardly will. But it's easier just to do a pro and a con list and see what you can lose versus what you can't lose.
So that kind of goes with what Brevi was saying, is making sure that when you invest in anything, including cryptocurrencies, that you have a long-term view of the impact on your, financial health, is what I'm hearing there. What about the person who is a risk taker and they will lose a shirt and bet it all and they'll gain it all back, but they'll lose a shirt again? How can we kind of help that person kind of balance that out?
That's the gambler, right? One thing, they need to come up with a budget of what they can spend, right, realistically, without losing.
Okay.
Like, say if you got 50,000, I'm just using a number here, and you said, okay, I can stand to play with 10, and they need to learn how to maintain what needs to benefit them for living expenses, I guess you can say. And once 10 is gone, it's gone.
But how does that person control themselves? That's when you get into that compulsive behavior where you set a budget for 10, but then you end up spending 15. If you know you're that type of person, how can you overcome that compulsion?
I wouldn't necessarily say overcome, but I'll challenge that a little bit, because I don't think compulsive people know they're compulsive, right?
Right.
Because if you know you're that way, then more than likely you'll try to get help.
Okay.
Right? So my first go-to would definitely seek professional help, because where does the root of that come from? Like, why do you need that fixation? And of course, it gives you some gratification. So the buffer you could start doing if you don't go get professional help is, what other things could give you that same gratification? And try to figure those things out and kind of lean more to those.
Now, also for the people who are overthinkers, that they actually end up harming their business or their personal wealth because they won't move on anything. I also think that can be detrimental to your financial health. So how do you help that type of person?
That's when I think they need, again, professional for like the mental piece of it, as far as the emotional, why are you scared? But two, then maybe they have to bring in a third party, like I don't know what it would be called, maybe a financial investor. So they could be like their safeguard, I guess, or their safety net.
Okay. And what other investor profiles are out there?
You have the person, kind of like me, who's in the middle. Like, I'll definitely do some risk, but I'm also like, okay, yeah, that's enough.
Now, can a person have an investor profile that differs from their money personality?
Oh, yes, because say, for instance, you're a risk taker. On an assessment, they have for investors, they have the risk takers, and you're a moderate risk taker, right? But you're an emotional spender. So they are counteractive to each other, because if I'm an emotional spender, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to come get that money back that I invested, so I am not going to see the long-term results.
Oh, interesting. And then how do you balance that? I mean, is there something they can do on their own, or is that also something that they need to get counseling to get their, or should they even be in line with one another, the money personality and investor profile? Is that even a problem?
I do feel like they should align, but because we live in a world that's not perfect, I don't think they do align. We all contradict our own selves, so personality types. But what I think is you have to figure out where's the medium of that.
Okay.
meaning like if you're an emotional spender, again, one of the things I always say, create a budget for that, right? And if you're a risk taker, create a budget for that. Like, so that way you kind of have room in the middle to say, okay, this is my money for risking and this is my money per se for, whatever you want to emotionally spend on.
Now, how can I find out, as you said, most people don't know what they are. How can I find out what my investor profile is? And also, how can I find out what my money personality is?
Well, internet definitely will help. You can also go to, investors, you can go for the risk taking. Money personality is still very new to people. It's been out there forever, but it's still new. So if you come to a professional like me who knows it, right, you can come to me. But there are also different like Googles, and you could just see like they have what do you call it? Different definitions, and see do you align with those definitions.
And then you should base your investor profile off of what you figure out from that.
Yes, I think like understanding your pros and cons about yourself, like if you're an investor personality, I'm just going to the risk because that's probably most people. If you're going to the risk, understand like, okay, I'm a risk taker, but how much can I really risk? Being realistic with yourself, I think, is the key to any of the personality types, and being okay with like, even if you are an overthinker, be okay with that. But again, create buffers for that. Because like you said, it could also be harmful to your business because you won't take any risk.
Right, because as we talked about in the first segment, inflation is your purchasing power. And so if you're not doing anything to grow your money is actually losing money. But that doesn't mean you have to be high risk either. It's like that balance based off of your personality type.
Yes, completely.
Okay. And so how do I make sure, outside the pros and cons in the budgeting process, that I don't end up in an unhealthy financial situation?
Well, I'm going to put that to the investor because I don't know how to count the money. I'm just being honest. I think like that's the part where you have to call in the financial person to say like what is unhealthy. Because I mean, I don't know that, but at least to me, an investor can say, or a financial analyzer could say, hey, if you get to this is where you're going to start becoming unhealthy for your business.
Okay, so bring in some type of third-party knowledge on the finance side, either individual or business-wise, to say, hey, here's your pot of money that you can play with based off of your personality as well as your budget, and and then your whole financial picture, so that you don't overextend yourself, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, know your numbers.
Okay, know your numbers and know how that makes you feel. Because
Yes.
you don't want to be in a situation where you only took the finance piece. And this is a finance person telling you this. It's like a lot of times people only focus on the numbers, but it's beyond the numbers. It's also the emotional and how you feel about certain things. Would you agree with that?
Oh, God, yes. Like, I really feel like because like you said, you can actually know the numbers, but you can be uncomfortable with the numbers, right? You can even be uncomfortable, people don't believe this, but you can be uncomfortable with growing money because you're scared you're going to mess it up.
And then one thing I forgot to mention, didn't we go over money personalities in one of our earlier episodes?
Yes, poverty mindset.
And so we can also see those money personalities there.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Tamika, for those tips.
Thank you.
The right to vote is a cornerstone of American democracy, but in the recent Chicago election runoff, only 35% of Chicagoans voted. This week on Change Agents, we will meet an organization and its incredible leaders who are committed to empowering the next generation of Chicagoans to become more civically minded. Join us this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on CanTV 19, stream us live on cantv.org, or download the CanTV Plus app.
Welcome to another episode of In My Own Words. I'm your host, Corey Timms, and with me in the studio today, I have my friend, Director of Government Innovations for Chicago Cred, Samantha Fields.
And I was like, okay, I'll run for office. I'm going to be like Barack Obama, so I'm going to go to law school. And law school was useful, too, because, I tell people now, I can do anything but hold a scalpel.
Despite my initial fears and lack of knowledge, I've come to learn that cryptocurrencies are digital currencies. They're decentralized and operate on a blockchain, which is essentially a digital ledger that keeps track of all transactions. There are many different types of cryptocurrencies, with Bitcoin being the most well-known. While it's true that investing in cryptocurrencies can be risky, it's important to remember that all investments carry some degree of risk. Cryptocurrencies are volatile and can fluctuate wildly in value, which can make them a risky choice for some investors. That's why it's important to know your own risk tolerance and investment personality. Some investors are more risk averse and prefer to stick with safer, more traditional investments like stocks and bonds. Others are more comfortable with risk and are willing to take chances on emerging technologies like cryptocurrencies. Ultimately, the decision to invest in cryptocurrencies is a personal one that you should be based on your own financial goals and circumstances. It's important to do your own research and understand the risk involved for making any investment decisions. While investing in cryptocurrencies may not be for everyone, it's clear that they are here to stay. As with any investment, there are risks and rewards involved, and it's up to each individual investor to decide whether the potential benefits outweigh the risk. If you have any questions about today's topic or past topics, please send me an email to kimberly@inthemoneyemail.com or follow me on Instagram, Diva of Cashflow. Remember, we are on this journey together.